suspense. Nigga, where am I going? Drop the foe in my cup, now I'm floating. I can't feel a thing, to be real, I just go through the motions. Where am I going? Nigga, I'm in deep like the ocean. I've been in my bag, everybody around me, I'm ghosting. Where am I going? Drop the foe in my cup, now I'm floating. I can't feel a thing, to be real, I just go through the motions. Where am I going?
We are going to another episode of HardFoul Radio. This is the show that values time and puts God first. Thank you guys for joining us for another wonderful episode on this Sunday, and let's get started. So, I can't believe I have to keep coming back to this, but it just blows my mind. And I'm not even a Ravens fan. That's Tony's team. That's his thing, his team. Leave it to him. But it blows my mind that we're just so comfortable disrespecting Lamar Jackson to the degree that we do. Like, I don't get what else Lamar has to do besides beat the internet trolls by winning a Super Bowl to defend his position in the league. I've been seeing this all week. Multiple channels, multiple radio hosts, multiple people in sports media that I know, I respect, I appreciate, I watch. And the question is coming up, and they play today. Who would you rather have? Lamar and the Ravens, Lamar and Derrick Henry on the Ravens, or Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley on the Eagles? This is insane to me. This is 1,000% insane to me. Lamar is in a class of quarterback that the only people you should be having these conversations with him are Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes. And it's crazy to think Lamar gets more disrespected than the other three. Lamar is playing some of the best football, you could argue the best football of his career. Look at his stats. Yes, the records, you could say he's had better records in past years as far as teams win and loss. But his individual play, look how great it is this year specifically. And this is for a guy who has already won 2 league MVPs. And we're still not sure if he deserves to be in the conversation with only the best of the best. And I like Jalen Hurts. This is not a Jalen Hurts trash hour. But let's put Lamar in his proper context. This is one of the 3 to 4 best quarterbacks in the NFL. Make sense? A guy who's already won 2 MVPs, arguably playing better than when he did when he won those MVPs. A guy who's on a team that could absolutely go to the Super Bowl. A guy who is playing out of his mind and is most likely going to be the MVP for the 3rd time in his career this season. And again, there's only 3 guys that I think are even in his conversation. And we give Joe Burrow a pass because he has amazing, brilliant individual stats. But his team's way worse than Lamar's. Josh Allen we give credit because he did it most of this year after trading his number 1 wide receiver. Name a receiver Lamar's had that's been as nearly as good as Stephon Diggs. And now the Bills, as of these last couple of weeks, they have now brought in Amari Cooper, so Josh has a number 1 again. And when they played, one team won by 25. And then there's Mahomes, who, fine, you want to say Mahomes' resume is just impeachable, cool. If it's impeachable to everybody else, fine. But the reality is Mahomes is playing some of the worst football of his career. Lamar is playing some of the best. And if it's impeachable for Mahomes, and his resume is impeachable, and his resume is just clearly ahead of the crowd and ahead of the field, why isn't that same logic for Lamar when compared to anybody that's not in this class? Jalen Hurts has 1 season where you could argue he's been better than Lamar. 1 season. That's the year they went to the Super Bowl. And even that year, I could argue, that 1 year does not put him in, definitely does not put him above, but doesn't even put him in the same class as Lamar Jackson. And let's look at Jalen Hurts, who, again, I like Jalen Hurts. I'm not trying to make a trash hour, but I just need to prove a point. Jalen Hurts has had, throughout the majority of his career, the best or second best at worst offensive line in the NFL. Factual? Yes. He has had Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and normally really good tight end play. Again, asking, who was Lamar had? Zay Flowers is finally having his breakout year, but who has Lamar had that's as good as Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown? And Lamar's had a great left tackle in Ronnie Stanley, who, as soon as he was cemented and great, started suffering injuries. So, O-line Jalen Hurts has had better. Receivers Jalen Hurts has had better. Tight end, fine. You want to give Mark Andrews over Philadelphia? Cool, but Philadelphia's never had horrible tight end play. Defensively, that year they went to the Super Bowl, they set the all-time record for sacks. And they had Darius Slay and playmakers on defense. Now, Lamar, Baltimore's always had really good defenses. But again, let's bring the context into this year. Jalen's defense and why Philly's doing so well. Yes, Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. But Philly now has maybe the second O-line only to Detroit. Their defense is number 1 in yards per game. And Jalen Hurts' signature play is other guys pushing him into the end zone. It's not these big scrambles. It's not these get out and, create plays with your feet. It is push him into the end zone for a yard. Okay. And that's it's like again, I don't want to shit on Jalen Hurts, but why is Jalen Hurts allowed to be in the Lamar Jackson conversations? A 2-time MVP, about to be a 3-time MVP. And then let's go, and because this is also disrespectful to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is the greatest running back of his generation. LaDainian Tomlinson had this at one point. Adrian Peterson had this. And Derrick Henry has been the best running back of his generation. Why is Saquon Barkley, who is having an incredible season and is a great player, why is he in Derrick Henry's conversation? Saquon was just on a bad team, and that's why he doesn't have Derrick Henry stats. Did we all just make up that, did we all just imagine that Tennessee was great for years upon years upon years? They have about a 2.5 year window where they were really good to above average with Ryan Tannehill when he first got there. They got the number 1 seed in the AFC, and if you go look at that year, it's kind of fluky. They weren't some great dominant team, and Derrick Henry still put up numbers. And that's Derrick Henry got off to a slow start in his NFL career. He's been the best running back in the NFL for the last however many years, 7, 8 years. And now he's having another all-time season with Baltimore. Again, Saquon Barkley's fantastic. But Saquon had an amazing rookie year, then some injuries, and some bad years on some bad New York Giants teams. Derrick Henry didn't have a great rookie year, then got off to a good start, made plays, running the ball, Tennessee. Why are these just... You guys all love to do it with quarterbacks. Well, this guy can't be in his conversation because he's done more. Well, then why aren't we doing it with one of the best quarterbacks in football in Lamar? And why aren't we doing that with one of the best running backs of all time in Derrick Henry? Again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Jalen Hurts. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon Barkley is great. I think Jalen Hurts is really good. They're not in Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry's class. Sorry, they're just not. So the NFL is king, right? We all understand that. They're so far ahead of everybody that we're about to have a crappy slate of games today. And no one's going to care because we're all going to sit down and watch it still. That's just how far ahead they are of the other sports. And I was thinking about this because we got all the primetime games out of the way. When you have these Thanksgiving games, you have these Christmas games, you have these Black Friday games, they're pulling a lot of the primetime matchups that would be the 4:15, 4:25 window or the Sunday Night Football. They're pulling a lot of those to have them be isolated on their own day. And so we got, of course, a whole bunch of games on Thanksgiving. None of them were that great in reality. But there's one, of course, we got to talk about because you know why? Because what would the NFL weekend consist of if we didn't have Chiefs, Raiders, and another Chiefs game that comes down to a very controversial call? I know what you're saying. You just want to hate on the Chiefs. And yeah, a little bit. But can you blame me? Can you really blame me? I'm not saying that stuff can't happen, and I'm not saying that the refs don't miss calls or the refs make every call correctly and all this other stuff. But when it feels like every single game or every other game, and I know they're in prime time a lot, so it's easy to point this out, is coming down to not a play that Mahomes made or a play that Chris Jones made or a great defensive sack or a great catch by a wide receiver. No, another game comes down to this weird-ass penalty that now improperly and just unequivocally messes with the game. And here come the Chiefs again. They're in a dogfight with the Raiders a week after being in a dogfight with the Panthers. Where I come from, not that this isn't college football, this isn't strength of schedule, but when we compare the teams that are supposed to be great, they're supposed to beat up on the teams that are bad. Again, go look at the rookie quarterbacks. A lot of their best games are against these bad teams, and that's what we expect. The Chiefs play everybody the same. Now, maybe that's playing down to their competition, playing up to the competition, who knows? But pretty much every single game looks the same. And here we go again. Chiefs, Raiders, Mahomes gets the ball. If Mahomes gets the ball, you just know he's going to score. Well, he didn't. He just didn't. Raiders get the ball. They're pinned down. And Aiden O'Connell drives the Raiders down the field, gets into position. There's a whistle blown, false start. And then, simultaneously, and this is where you're going to get the conspiracy theorists, and this is where you're going to get people that, it's just a bad look. Simultaneously to the whistle being blown, false start, Raiders center snaps the ball. Snap is botched. Chiefs jump on the ball. Refs huddle up. Well, of course we called false start, so you just got a dead ball. No, actually, let's huddle up and get this correct. Dead ball, 15-second runoff. Chiefs win the game. Let's get out of here. Again, it's not a great Mahomes play. It's not a great Chris Jones sack. It's not a great Travis Kelce catch or McDuffie interception. Another play for the Kansas City Chiefs against a team they should be beating easily comes down to this weird interaction with the referees. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I just want to know. And again, people could say, oh, well, it's not fair. In the media, anyone who's out there, besides specifically one guy who everyone knows we're talking about, Mr. Never a Doubt, everybody knows this Chiefs team isn't that good. Or at least when it's, and good is relative. Again, I say this, good is relative to what their standard is. Their standard is winning another Super Bowl. Has anyone looked at this team and said, yeah, that's definitely a Super Bowl team. 11-1, best 11-1 start ever. They're just gonna do it. Has anyone looked at this team and thought they're clearly one of the best teams in the NFL? Has anyone looked at this team and seen them play and go, yeah, that's the team that's gonna make a run? Has anyone looked at this team and said, yeah, Mahomes is really humming. Oh, Kelsey's getting back into a groove. This defense is actually getting worse, but we're not gonna talk about it. The media is just turning an entirely blind eye because they have the resume to justify it? What about what have you done for me lately? And what have you done for me lately is a bunch of subpar games, subpar football the last 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. And people talk about the margin of victory stat. And yes, while I do think that matters, what it shows, teams historically in any sport that have these super high skewed margin of victory games. Yes, some of it is coaching. But even historically, coaching will tell you, you just end up on the positive side of one possession games. So if it's 50-50 one possession games, great coaching means you're on the 60-40 side of it. The Chiefs, and the team that I've been comparing them to, the Steelers, are on the 90% side. And at some point, variance and stats and reality and all these other things start to catch up to you, and you don't keep winning all of these games, especially when it comes time for the postseason, and you really can't win all of these games. So, again, another Chiefs game, another flag, another weird interaction with the refs. What's different? With that being said, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, the Bears finally did it. Finally got rid of Matt Eberflus. We discussed that, as well as, of course, we had to have Will stop by. This is HardFoul Radio. We'll be back momentarily. their owner is impatient, crazy, and irrational. Because I like Shane Steichen as a head coach. I do. I'm not as familiar with the general manager. I'm not going to really quote, how good or bad he is. He has gotten guys like a Quentin Nelson. If Anthony Richardson did develop, he's gotten a Michael Pittman. So he's, I believe, with who the overall talent on the roster, general manager, good. Good enough, at least. Especially when you have someone like Shane Steichen as your head coach. But I do firmly believe the decision to bench Anthony Richardson was a call from Jim Irsay, who wants to be back in the Peyton Manning era where he's winning 10, 11, 12 games every single year. His quarterback's throwing for 4,000 yards. He has one of the best offenses, one of the best teams in the National Football League. He wants to go back to Andrew Luck those first couple of years, winning 11-plus games, making the playoffs. That's what he believes. He believes that the Indianapolis Colts are one of the best franchises in sports, not just that they were lucky to get two supremely talented quarterbacks. And with that, we are back. This is HardFoul Radio. Appreciate everybody for tuning in today. So, I've said this a bunch. Coaches, especially in the NFL, you get fired in prime time. When you lose, it can be horrible. You could lose 42-10 in the 1 o'clock window. Not that many people care outside of your fan base. And while it might seem unfair to your fan base, this is the reality. Most coaches get fired when it becomes embarrassing, when it becomes multiple storylines, and it becomes national news, national media, and that stuff happens when you have these big primetime standalone games. Because the big primetime standalone games are where you're supposed to show the world we're better than you think, or we are as good as you think, or we're as great as you think. The Bears, all offseason we're talked about. Best situation ever for number one quarterback. Look at all these weapons. Oh my gosh, the defense was playing great after they got swept. All these things were positives. All of these things were stuff people were encouraged about the Bears. They were excited about for the Bears. All of this stuff was adding up, and it was supposed to be this great season. People were picking them for the playoffs. Even some nut cases were picking them for the Super Bowl or to go really far in the playoffs. And then the season has turned out the way it has. And it's very clear, and we're going to talk to Will here in a second, there's a lot of after or couch coaching. Like after a decision is made, and because we've seen the final result, a lot of guys can sit on their couch and go, oh, well, I would have done this, or I would have done that, because we've seen the outcome of the game. So we saw what was the wrong decision. But in the moments, there's a reason why these guys are all very well compensated. In the moment, what's actually going on is a bunch of guys going, or a bunch of guys, head coaches, trying to really figure out the actual scenario or the actual situation. With Matt Eberflus, that's not what happened. Matt Eberflus had a timeout that he could have used. And I know there's other people that said, oh, well, Caleb also messed him on this. Caleb is a rookie quarterback on his second offensive coordinator in less than 13 career games. It is not, I'm not saying he didn't mishandle the situation, but that's not his situation to mishandle. You are the head coach. You had the timeout. You had all the power to save that situation. And then you double down on it. And you go to the podium and you say, I think we handled that correctly. In what world? In what world? In what world? So not only now did you get embarrassed in primetime, because, and you specifically got embarrassed. That game was actually relatively close. Caleb looked really good in primetime. Yes, first half he struggled, but he came back. Second half comeback. Looks like they had a chance to beat the Lions. They were in that game. They showed you the talent and that they possessed the players. But you as the head coach, you got embarrassed. You looked like you didn't know what you were doing. That was indefensible coaching. That was malpractice of coaching. You had the timeout. You had the opportunity. It was there to take. It was there to do. And you just blew it. And again, primetime Thanksgiving game. The world is watching you. That's going to be one of the, I don't know the exact numbers yet. And obviously we'll see it played out of the season. That game is going to turn out to be one of the 10 most watched football games of the regular season. And when you go back and look at it, and you're like, one of the most people when the opportunity when most people had their eyes on you. That's what you did? That's what happened? That's how coaches get fired. Prime time, everybody can see it. It's embarrassing to the owner. These guys are billionaires. They don't like being embarrassed. They don't like being annoyed. They have been able to buy, maneuver, business their way through pretty much everything else in life. They don't want to deal with this. And so that's why Matt Eberflus, as of today, no longer has a job employed by the Chicago Bears. And with that, we are joined by the father of the year. Will is in the building. How we doing, man?
Sensational.
T.I. ass words. Hey man, let's check in. It's been a few weeks since we got to kick it. So it's been, you know, some less than successful weeks for the Bears. But want to ask, has the season fully pivoted in your mind from, okay, there's a chance to be a playoff team, chance to do some cool things this year, versus now it's like, just get Caleb on track?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's about just kind of seeing, I guess, kind of what we've been seeing the last 2 weeks from him at least, and just seeing him kind of build on that. But I think, at least from my perspective as a fan, it hasn't been a point this season where I was like, I don't know if Caleb is the guy. You know, aside from like just some of the hiccups as far as coaching and things like that, but it hasn't been a point where I was questioning whether or not he was our quarterback of the future. But I mean, to see him kind of string together a couple of good individual performances, even though unfortunately they kind of, you know, we losing these games, but he didn't put us in position twice in the last 2 weeks to win the game.
That's valid.
I mean, I guess this last week he put us in a position to tie it up, and then of course he took a big sack in overtime and all of that stuff. But I mean, yeah, you know, you just want to. I think the rest of the season is just, for me, is just, you know, I want to see good quarterback play. At this point, I'm still not against them kind of firing Eberflus.
Would you do it mid-season, or would you wait until the season's over?
Well, I mean, at this point, why not? Like, I mean, shit, the season is over for us. Over shit.
No, that's valid.
You know.
No, that's valid. Would you say? I know you said when we talked last time, you didn't have a preference on what coach exactly, but do you think it has to at least be an offensive coordinator or a play caller coming into Caleb's second year and obviously be his third offensive coordinator, or do you think you can go defensive coach again?
I would say, depending on how the rest of the season looks with like Thomas Brown. But I mean, I think when you look at maybe some of the best teams, you got like dynamic play callers as head coaches, or even if it's not some of the best teams, some of the best offenses. Like, I don't necessarily know what the Rams' record is this year. I feel like they've been kind of up and down, but you know, you got somebody like Sean McVay who their offense is always putting up yards.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that results in points all the time or not, like they go, you know, they getting yards up. They moving the ball up and downfield.
1,000%.
So I mean, if you got the right play caller, then it wouldn't be. You can maybe go defense, but I mean, which team? What's the best team in the league with a, I guess, defensive minded head coach? Who would that be?
It'd either be Buffalo with Sean McDermott.
Who is the OC over there? Do we even know?
I
can't think.
I forget his name. He just got, because they just switched OCs at the end of last year. I forget the new guy's name, but they've also got, with respect to Caleb Williams and what he might be, Josh Allen is one of the current superheroes playing quarterback on the planet right now. So
yeah.
it kind of shows you.
Not even just that, but then when you also, like, even as a new OC coming in, you've seen a successful product already that you need to build on, and not trying to build something from the ground up or build from scratch. So it's not like you going into Buffalo to destroy and rebuild.
No, 1,000%.
So outside of Sean McDermott, who would we say?
Mike Tomlin. Yeah, Mike Tomlin's the
and I mean,
guy.
the Steelers ain't. I mean, he, you know, credit to Mike Tomlin as a coach, but the Steelers ain't really been.
No, they're not the model. You know, they're.
So it's like, I mean, you know, he's a, you know, Mike Tomlin is Mike Tomlin, Hall of Famer.
No, that's a fact. No, especially you get to. I said before the season, the 500 record I think was kind of overblown. Because I'm like, the second you have a losing season, it's like we no longer care how many seasons in a row you were just above 500 if they didn't result in like playoff success or Super Bowls and shit like that. But I'm like, then I watched this season. I'm like, yeah, Mike Tomlin it's just impossible for him to have a losing season, and it's just impossible for him to have a bad team, and that's a huge
especially when you
coach.
look at that team. Like
that team is not good. I don't care what people say about the Steelers. Like that's not a good team. He is just doing like he is devil magic.
Yeah, they got pieces over there, but it's like they're not putting a good product on the field, but it's like he making it happen.
The Steelers people got mad at me about it. I'm just like, I watched like the year after Denver won the Super Bowl and Peyton Manning retired. I'm like, I watched Von Miller still in his prime. If you want to compare him to TJ Watt, we still had the no-fly zone. Like I watched that team struggle on offense, but still have a top flight defense. And they didn't look shit. Like the Steelers just somehow pull out all these wins. Denver, these other great defense, like teams that have good defenses but bad offenses, it's like you see them lose. Like even if they go 50-50 on like the one possession games. And it's like the Steelers just win like 90% of them. And I'm like, Tony and I are convinced. Like the Steelers and Chiefs, they just got devil magic and voodoo and shit. They've been offering people since the start of the season. So,
but yeah, no, I think just when you look, because I don't know, it's tough. It's at this point, if I'm the Bears, you almost got to try something different. Like, defense has been the model for a long time, and not saying like our defense should suffer, but go get you a good DC, whoever it is you decide. Because even after this season, like regardless of the record, I think you got good film to work off of and see what these guys are good at. Because our defense has been good most of the season. It's just when the offense can't move the ball and the defense is on the field as much as they are, it's not, they're not going to be able to hold up for an entire game against these offensive players. Like,
1,000%.
Because most of the times, like going into halftime, it's a close game or whatever. It's usually a close game. And then once we come out to the second half and we're not moving the ball on offense, then that's kind of when the game get opened up on us.
Yeah. Plus, if I'm the Bears, and this is just kind of like, I would always say like, now obviously you'd rather be in a position like where you're not searching for a head coach, right? You'd rather just have Andy Reid. You'd rather just have Sean McVay. You'd have one of these elite coaches. That's always the best situation. But if you ever have to turn over a coach, I've always been of the belief, get a coach who for the side of the ball, you have the least talent. It doesn't have to be a huge disparity, but I think the Bears naturally have more good players on defense than they currently do on offense, especially at O-line right now is where you'd say their biggest struggle is. Like, so get someone who's going to elevate the weaker part of your team because the talent will damn near take care of itself on the other side of the ball, especially for getting better ball control, better time possession, that kind of stuff. So I asked Tony this yesterday, and I wanted to follow up with you as well. So Tony got on a pretty good loser rant about Joel Embiid, and Tony's a big Paul George guy, so this kind of hurt him a little bit, but it is what it is.
When you say you're a big Paul George guy, like that's his guy.
That's his guy. He's like all the young kids that were coming out over the summer talking about Paul George, my GOAT. Tony's not in their class, but he's like right under them. Like he would have Paul George.
I don't know. I never knew he was like. I never knew he was that big. Even though I fought with Paul George too, honestly, but I never knew Tony was like big on Paul George like that.
Nah, Tony got some Paul George, my GOAT tweets. But I argued that the problem with the Sixers, like Milwaukee and Philly, both get off to horrible starts of the season. But this is the difference of like everybody at this level is talented and the all NBA guys are supremely talented. We know that. The Bucks got off to a shitty start and Giannis has been scoring 40 a night, playing 40 plus minutes, like doing whatever he can to just keep his team involved because he knows we're not good enough right now, but I'm so great I can get us through this part of the schedule.
Right.
Joel Embiid, despite you want to say more talented, more skilled, it's like he's still doing the same shit. Like he's still missing games. I understand injury. There's a part of that, but like Giannis is hurt. Guys in Milwaukee are hurt. He's still, when he's out there, like he's doing this foul baiting kind of style of play. Like Tony called Joel Embiid just a losing player. Do you agree with that? Or what would you have a different take on what's going wrong in Philadelphia this year?
I won't say that I don't agree with it, but I'll say I don't necessarily have a take because I haven't watched any of their games.
That's valid.
To know what's going on. I I'm actually I'll say probably within the last week is probably the most tuned in to like the NBA I've been able to be. Like it's because I mean, of course, NBA is different than NFL. Like, you know, that's 2 days out the week or 3 days out the week versus it's a basketball game every day, multiple games every day. So I'm actually with how much stuff I've been having going on. I haven't. The last like week and a half to 2 weeks is the most tuned in I've been able to be to basketball. So I'm not even all the way in tune with all of the Joel Embiid stuff. And even as far as social media goes, I haven't even been keeping up with any of the Philly drama. So let me know. Fill me in.
They got right. So Philly's.
Well, what's your opinion on? Do you agree?
I do, but I've never been like the Joel Embiid guy. Like we used to go. I always used the story. I'm like when we first started this shit off like 5-6 years ago, we'd have arguments about like Embiid versus Giannis, and I was like I was on Giannis, y'all with Embiid, and while the careers have played out the way they have, everyone's acknowledged Giannis has had the better career up to this point. There is still a lot of people that are on like the skill part of Embiid, and when he's out there, like he can still get you 34, 35 a night. And that is a unique skill to just him. But I think as you get older, like you've worked in management, I've worked in management, there is a certain characteristic and a skill set you need if you're going to be in one of those positions. And as the star of a franchise, you're essentially in management. And some guys can handle that and some guys just can't. And right now, to me, Joel Embiid just feels like, yeah, you could argue he's one of the 5 to 10 most gifted players ever. Like just in terms of size, speed, skill, all that shit put into one person. But it's like Shaq. There's a reason why Shaq has all these Shaq has a bunch of accolades. So I don't want to compare in this regard. But like Shaq has almost more compliments than he does accolades. Because if you watched prime Shaq, you're like, oh yeah, there's nothing he can't do. Like he should just run through the league for every single year like he's any kind of health. But Shaq never stayed in crazy shape. Shaq had his own things off the court because he liked to do. And it's his own life, not here to retrain history. But that's the kind of line I feel like Embiid is under. And he's fallen something similar to that. And so I'm not as harsh as Tony is. But I do think Embiid is the wrong. Like he could be the best player in your franchise, but he shouldn't be the leader of your franchise. Kind of like AD. Like AD has been the best player for the Lakers last couple of years, as great as LeBron's been in this part of his career. But AD's clearly in his prime been the best player. But AD shouldn't be the leader of your franchise. There's just certain characteristics he doesn't have, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I can get with that. And then I think when you just talk about a Joel Embiid and a Shaq, and I don't necessarily know as far as Joel Embiid, which, you know, we've heard it in the past about him coming in out of shape, like, you know, sometimes, but that's like the whole hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
1,000%. Because Embiid can do anything you want on a basketball court. Now, I hate the way he plays.
When you go back to the argument, not even argument, but you know, that was just debates we would have back in the day about it. It was we were always arguing like Embiid is more talented and more skilled than Giannis.
Mm-hmm. And that's still true.
Yeah. So no, I think I think we got a case of that here with Embiid though.
Yeah. How I want to phrase this. To get back into football here for a second, because you asked me several weeks, the first couple weeks of the season, and I believe the question was word for word: is Bo Nix the future? 10 toes down, never stuttered, no, just full force ahead. I said yes.
I mean, but
yes,
that's
yes.
because that's because you like you'll blindly follow the Broncos no matter who is at quarterback. Like they could put Tony at quarterback, and you'll say you gonna say he the guy. Like.
No. I did not.
You damn near don't care who they put at quarterback. You gonna ride for who you ride for.
I mean, from a team perspective, yes. But I was not big on the Case Keenum year. I was not big on the Joe Flacco year. I had some mild hope for the Teddy year. That one wasn't great, but I had some mild hope for Teddy. Shout out Teddy, he's a high school football coach now.
Trevor Siemian, you were a Trevor Siemian guy.
I was a Trevor Siemian guy. That'll hold it down. I was a Trevor Siemian guy for real.
So you were a Trevor Siemian guy. So it's like you can't tell me that you're not going. You gonna be like whoever they put under center over there. That's your guy.
Or at least everybody get at least 5 games or a season. You know, Russ got a season. Russ pissed me off by game like 9 or 10. I was like, yo, we paying you way too much fucking money for you to be this bad. That Charger game was heartbreaking.
Now y'all paying them not be there.
That's a fact. $40 million not be in the state of Colorado. Like,
did y'all play though?
Yeah, we played him in week 2. We lost.
Oh, well, he wasn't playing.
No, yeah, Russ wasn't playing. No, I don't know. If Russ had came back then to play, I'm gonna say the score would have been different, but nobody believes me.
Yeah, they would have won still.
Anyway, but I'm gonna ask you, now that we 12 weeks into the season, my man got offensive rookie of the month. My man got the most total touchdowns by a rookie. My man got the highest passer rating for any rookie. My man got he's about to win his 3rd straight rookie player of the week, 4 touchdowns, 80% completion percentage. I asked Tony this too. And Tony told me with very, very resounding words, fuck no, it's all fake. He's Daniel Jones with a slightly better arm. And I was like, I bet. Do you believe in Bo Nix now?
Do I believe in Bo Nix?
We believe in Bo Nix. How many people at HardFoul believe in Bo Nix? Let's get the count up. Right now we got 1.
Do I believe in Bo Nix?
My wife don't even know he exists. She just be watching games and she'd be like, yo, where's Ciara's husband at? And I'm like, he not there no more.
Do I believe in Bo Nix? I'll
take a percentage. I'll take a percentage. We can get 1.5 here, or we go 1.25. Like I'm trying to get some more people on this train, man.
50-50.
1.5 believers here at HardFoul, man. That's how it's got to be.
I'll give you 50. I'll say 50-50.
There we go. See, take that, Tony. Oh, I got it, fam. You're right. I will blindly follow whatever, but that's just the sports fan. It's like you sit there, especially at the start of the season.
The older I get, y'all can't keep giving me bullshit. like I'm gonna still be a fan of like that's gonna still be my team, but I'm gonna acknowledge that this nigga shouldn't be back here.
That's fair. I started to do that with Russ.
I ain't gonna make it seem. I know, but y'all, that was hate.
How is that hate? This nigga sucked it up into bro. I hate y'all sometimes. They're the only people.
You hate because he was praying. You was hating because he stayed prayed up.
I just want to give y'all an insight into what I deal with, right? So I remember Russ got traded, and they was like, "Yo, Russ got traded Denver." And literally, and this is how my friends operate. That same day, they yeah, y'all got Russ, but he ain't shit no more. He washed, etc.
I 1,000% said that.
You 1,000% did say that or didn't?
1,000% did.
Oh yeah, no. So I'm getting this oh no, he washed, he sucked now, blah. Y'all gave up too much, and I'm like, no, we just got Russell Wilson. Fuck that. So I got to talk shit back to step up for us. And then Russ started playing some shit, and I'm like, hey yo, get this nigga out of here. And now they're like, nah, man, that's hate. You was all hype for us. You was this for us. I'm like,
you was hating.
Y'all was just telling me how washed he is. Now I'm telling y'all. Now I'm saying y'all right, and now I'm hating.
Nah,
that's what I got to deal with.
We could be right, but that don't mean that it's not hate. It's still hate. It's hate. It was hate. You was hating. Sean Payton was hating.
Hey man, everybody went their separate ways, and everybody went their separate ways, and everyone's better for it. Russ is in Pittsburgh. Sean's winning. Broncos are good, and now Walmart's helping us get to the playoffs this year. It
was hate.
That ain't hate. Last question before we let you go. I want to make sure I say this correctly. But wait, actually two. So we got to get the prediction before we get out of here. If you had to, so I want to see if I can pull this up right now. So I want you to tell me what you think I got. So Tony and I have done this a couple times where we've checked back in on where we've had our predictions before the season and where we had them or where they ended up playing out to now. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick, and we're going to go through. Where's Zoom? Here we go. And I want you to tell me who you think that damn, you nailed that, or what's the wildest shit you think I got. So this is my prediction before the season started. So let's see here. All right, you can see it.
Yes.
Sorry, AFC over here, and then under. So the U's obviously are under, O's over. So this was based off what Vegas had them predicted. By the way, fucking nailed the Jets under 10.5. Niggas get the Jets 10.5 wins. The fucking lunacy.
That's crazy.
'Cause I think I'm nailing this pretty good so far.
So the Chiefs are gonna be over.
Chiefs, I'm wrong on that, but they got devil magic working for them, so I can't do much there.
The Bills are probably gonna be over. Oh, you got them over. You got the Bills over. What's San Francisco's record? They're gonna be under.
San Francisco got a lot of injuries, bro. San Francisco got a lot of injuries.
What's the Rams? I would have to pull up their record because I think they might.
They both 5-6.
Probably so that means they would need 10 wins, so I don't think they're gonna get 5 more. Cowboys under. Right? Chargers under. Broncos bullshit. Dolphins under, and Dolphins they're gonna be under, I'm sure, because they went on like a 4-game losing streak when Tua was out.
Although Tua,
what the fuck is the Patriots record? 4.5. How many wins are they at?
I think they have 3 right now.
They might squeeze out 2 more. I don't know what the rest of their schedule look like. Let's see. And actually, my tab was gonna die in like a few minutes too.
Yeah, we go head out after this.
Lions is over. That's good. Green Bay, you got Green Bay over. I don't know where they're standing at right now. They'll probably get over though.
Oh shit, my shit just closed out. Hold up.
Yeah, you got Green Bay over 9.5. They're at 8. Lions is at 10 already. You had them over 10.5. No, it looked good. It looked like you got a few that could go either way.
See, I think I'm seeing the NFL pretty clearly, especially the Broncos prediction. This. Hey man, look, first rookie quarterback ever won the Super Bowl. Y'all heard it here first.
You had what did you have I thought I just seen the Vikings. Where did you have the Vikings at?
The Vikings, I was dead wrong. But so the Vikings, I didn't believe in Sam Darnold with the damn. And so when we did this, JJ McCarthy was already out for the year, and so I was like, yeah, I don't believe in Sam.
Because they already they at 9. They second in the division.
Yeah, no, they that one they ain't doing so good on.
Saints, you got good. Shit, Carolina, they could get another win or 2.
Carolina, Bryce Young been playing, man.
The Browns under 8. Who else you got over? You missed on probably the Bengals, Cincinnati.
The Bengals, that one's rough.
They've been on a losing streak too. It's almost like they're one of the best teams to be like. I won't even say not. It's like they've literally lost every game by like a possession or something. Like the last like 4 or 5 games has been like 1-score games.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. Like the shit the Steelers pull off and the Chiefs, like teams are supposed to lose these one possession.
No, I don't look bad though. What you got on there don't look bad at all.
No, I appreciate that.
Don't look bad. I don't know. You got the
hard left in this one. I don't even think I'm necessarily wrong, just in terms of what happened on Sunday, but I think Sunday was the first time I thought this is actually a big issue, which the hard left is, I think I'm done defending John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh, Tony has been telling me for the last several weeks, has never been a great coach. He's just been a good coach, but with a message that's dying out because he's been there for so long. And I've given some pushback on that. I do think John, in my opinion, mainly because of his success, has always been he's a really good head coach. And then obviously all these guys need players, right? Like John Harbaugh inherited Ray Lewis. He inherited Ed Reed. He got a young Joe Flacco turned into a great quarterback. But I was watching the game on Sunday and I'm like, look, man, I'm all for being creative, especially in the goal line. Andy Reid has made that really popular. All these reverse gadget plays that specifically he's been able to pull off. But the reality is, why are we doing a direct snap to Derrick Henry on fourth down? The most dangerous, most effective play the entire NFL season has been Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry RPO. And you just take it out of Lamar's hands. You don't even fake it. You don't even give him the chance to make it seem like he could be involved in the play. You just totally remove him. It's always wild to see that. Excuse me. This is HardFoul Radio. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. So I just want to give some context here. So I brought this up a little bit earlier in the show, and I want to bring it up again. The NFL is just flexing right now. It is so far ahead of the other sports leagues. It is just flexing how big and how dominant it is. These are the games they gave us, and I guarantee we're not going to have the slightest drop off in ratings. As far as total NFL viewers, you can find, yes, a particular game, fine. But for the total amount of views throughout the games. So obviously we lost a couple of games to Thanksgiving. This is what we have today. Do you want to watch the Texans Jaguars? Do you want to watch the Colts Patriots? What about the Seahawks Jets? What about Titans Commanders? Or you could watch Steelers Bengals. And there's only 2 games in the morning slot you could argue have any relevant value, which is Cardinals, Vikings, Chargers, Falcons. And the viewership's still going to go crazy in the 10 o'clock window. We are just a football-obsessed country, a football-obsessed population, like the NFL, that's why they can keep moving these games. The NBA can't do this. We're going to get to that in a second. The NBA can't do this, and it's not as effective for them. This is why when they can't have a dedicated day of the week where they're going to have all these primetime games and still do well on other days. Well, the NBA has Christmas. Watch the NBA's Christmas ratings this year and watch the days 2 days before and 2 days after. It's not the same. They don't have enough pull in this regard where they can have a dedicated day for primetime games, pulling more and more games out from that day that they have designated and still do numbers on those non-big time days. And now, look at the NBA Christmas ratings this year. Man, we talked about this last week. They're going to be even worse off because now the NFL is invading Christmas with the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, the Texans and CJ Stroud, and Beyonce. So the NFL is coming for Christmas. They're gonna come take it. The NBA can't do this. Major League Baseball can't do this. And I know it's slightly different because there's only one game a week, et cetera, et cetera. The NFL is moving more and more stuff around. And if you think it's not out of their own possibility to start getting, with playing with teams bye weeks, they're already talking about putting in another game, going to 18 games, it'll be a second bye week. They can keep doing this because we keep eating it up. We keep saying more. And they're taking full advantage of it. Again, these aren't even good games. Like, we're taking you up until 10 o'clock. These aren't even good. Like, tomorrow, by the way, tomorrow I'm doing a extremely long hard foul, and that is because we are basically starting at 4:15, 4:30, and we are going up until Monday Night Football, and we are doing a Monday night watch-along of the Broncos-Browns game. So, but yeah, it's insane to me. And so Again, Texans, Jaguars, Colts, Patriots, Seahawks, Jets, Titans, Commanders. And then you get to the 1 o'clock windows, or the 4 o'clock window, I'm on the West Coast, isn't that much better. Rams, Saints, Bucks, Panthers, Eagles, Ravens is going to be good. And then Sunday Night Football, Niners, Bills. Who's playing quarterback for the Niners? It's going to be a snowstorm. And then you get Browns, Broncos tomorrow. I'm excited for Browns, Broncos, but, you know, the rest of the world ain't. But they've already pulled Kansas City, Dallas, these big draws. They already used them for Thanksgiving. Detroit, one of the best teams in the NFL. We're going to use them on Thanksgiving. And again, they doubled down a few years ago because they said, not only do we have Thanksgiving, we're going to run it right back with the Black Friday game. And if you think they're not a year or two away from also saying, and we're going to run it back with a Saturday game, and then we'll just give you the rest on Sunday. On top of the fact teams have bye weeks. This is why the NFL is kicking everyone's ass. This is not a good slate of games. And people are going to eat it up. I guarantee you. Guarantee you. Also want to say, this I thought was hilarious. This is a response, I guess, or just social commentary on what Patrick Beverley was talking about. So Patrick Beverley does his own podcast for an NBA player now he's playing in Israel. And he said on his podcast that he was texting Kawhi Leonard. And he texted Kawhi Leonard, NBA ratings are down. They waiting on you. And him and Kawhi had a little back and forth. Hi, they're friends. Cool. And I thought to myself, as I'm listening to this, yeah, this is why the NBA is in trouble. Because the NBA is waiting on the klaw, which is the problem. The NBA's games, there's basically two sets of ratings. You have to look at the ratings for games Steph Curry plays in, and then you got to look at the rest. Steph is still a very marketable draw, and because of his advanced play at his age, he is still a good draw for both performance and ratings-wise. Steph's still really good, means it's still fun to watch from a product level, and he also still does numbers for the ratings and the business side of it. The problem with the NBA needing Kawhi Leonard, which I don't doubt, Kawhi will get ratings. I don't doubt that Kawhi will be immediately impactful as far as business, is that's the NBA's problem. You're either relying on old guys, Steph, KD, LeBron, Steph and KD are still really, really good. LeBron is clearly finally transitioned out of the 25-plus point per game monster that he's been his entire career. And then you got a bunch of guys who are the next generation besides Jokic, who are a bunch of injury-prone players. Kawhi Leonard, Joel Embiid. And then you've got this little mix of guys who are clearly great, but because they're international, we don't get the same appeal. Jokic, Luka, Giannis. The reigning NBA champs, people don't want to get behind Jason Tatum, who would be a super, super mega star at any other generation that he played. If Jason Tatum played in the 80s or the 90s or the early 2000s, he'd be a super megastar, an athletic 6'10 wing who can shoot. Now, I know he shoots a lot now, and so a lot of people have, myself included, have been turned off by teams shooting 40, 50 threes a game. Because again, I've said this before, we can all shoot threes. And I know this seems really basic, but we can all go outside and shoot a basketball. And there is a certain appeal to that. Look at Steph's career, and that's a big part of his legacy. But there's also this thing about sports that we like seeing people do shit that we just simply can't see. The average person can't dunk. The average person can't be 7 foot tall. So there's this intrigue and these things that we can't do, that we can't grab, and we want to be entertained by that. Everybody's shooting threes, but we can all shoot threes. Again, the pendulum just goes too far. At one point, everybody was dunking, no one could shoot. Okay, well, that's not as fun, so we got to swing back. Now everybody's shooting threes, and now we can all shoot threes. You got to get somewhere in the middle. Everybody can't be the Golden State Warriors 2016 to 2020. Every team in the NBA can't be that. But this is, again, Pat Bev has this conversation with Kawhi, and he's like, oh yeah, the league needs you, the ratings are down, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And Kawhi will come back and temporarily fix ratings problems for the games he's involved in. But that's not a good long-term plan for the NBA, and it just shows where the NBA is at, that they have yet to create other superstars. I need to get back on this week, is the stories and the narratives around a lot of these superstars. The NBA has not done a good job of facilitating. The NBA has not done a good job of marketing. The NBA has not done a good job of helping improve these players. In music, it's really simple. In music, you put out enough good songs or a hit song, you could become a star. The label can then turn you into a superstar through marketing, through, depending on certain lawsuits out there right now, maybe legally or illegally. But they can turn you into a superstar if you've already got the talent to be a star, you've already got the records to be a star. A lot of these guys already have the accolades or the records, quote unquote, or whatever, the justification to be a star. The NBA is having a hard time turning them into superstars. And part of that we got to put back on media, because media has decided you can only be a superstar if you win titles. So Edwards, while he's young and fun right now, if he can't win a title, he will lose his superstar status, even though he's easily one of the most marketable and easygoing players in the NBA. John Morant, who's young and exciting, but he will lose his superstar status if he can't win a title, because that's what we've decided. Only you don't win titles, you can't be superstars. And that's never how the league has worked. There was mad superstars in the 2000s. 4 guys are winning titles. Kobe, Shaq, Duncan, the Spurs. Dirk got one. D-Wade got one. I'm sorry, Dirk didn't get one. D-Wade got one. So D-Wade in the Heat. The Lakers, Kobe, Shaq, Kobe Powell. The Spurs, Duncan, Ginobili, Parker. They were winning titles in the 2000s. There were mad superstars in basketball in the 2000s. It was not just you win a title, you're a superstar. That wasn't the only way it worked. But they've gotten lazy. The league can't seem to do it. The media personalities can't seem to do it. There's plenty of guys who are eligible to be superstars. You just can't make the condition essentially only initiating one superstar a year because it's only the guy who wins a championship. Because then when you have these great stories of Steph's last title, that's actually net negative for the league. Because Steph improving his resume and improving his all-time status means that's year you can't have another superstar according to the media, because none of the young guys could win a title. LeBron winning a title with the Lakers in the COVID year, that's actually a net negative for the league, because even though it improves LeBron's legacy, it then takes away, and we just can't initiate another superstar because another young guy didn't win a title. Jokic won a title, and guess what? His personality is not very superstar-esque, so he just leaves the country. Luka gets to an NBA Finals. He loses. He is also international. He leaves the country. Not very superstar-esque. Giannis leaves the country. All Giannis is concerned about is running, dunking, playing hard on defense, and knocking up his wife. Like, that's it. That's his thing. He is not a superstar in the form of, he's going to go out there and be the personality. Like, there were mad dudes who were superstars who just weren't winning titles. Vince Carter was a superstar. He wasn't winning titles. Dirk Nowitzki was a superstar. He only won one title, and he was a superstar long before he was a superstar long before he won his title. Like, there's a bunch of things here. Like, yes, Pat Bev, you're right. The league is waiting on Kawhi Leonard, and that's why the league's in trouble. The league is waiting on Joel Embiid, and that's why they're in trouble. Because when you're reliant on either the old guys, the injury guys, or the international guys, that's how your ratings keep slipping. That's how you keep losing this fight to the NFL and NBA. And I didn't think this was possible. We're going to talk Dodgers here in a second, or when we come back from the break. The NBA, in terms of space allocated in a fan's mind, heart, etc., Major League Baseball is making a little comeback here. We are actually here, like, Aaron Judge's name is being brought up consistently throughout sports conversations. Shohei Ohtani's name is being brought up consistently throughout sports conversations. Baseball's been on the decline. Baseball's been getting its ass kicked. Baseball's been having horrible ratings. But baseball's starting to kind of inch its way back up. And another big offseason with a Juan Soto $600, $700 million contract. Blake Snell and the Dodgers, everything they're doing, baseball's starting to inch up. And the NBA, you're inching down. I'll say this, and I didn't think this was possible 5 years ago. The NBA is now closer to Major League Baseball than it is the NFL. And that's wild to think about. Speaking of baseball here, and I got one more thing to talk about here, but I want to get this out. I don't think this will happen, but I think at least the conversation means, I don't think this will happen anytime soon. I do think that we will eventually get here, though. So the Dodgers signed Blake Snell, and there's two sides to this story. And I'm going to break this down a little bit more in depth later this week, and I want to kind of keep it for when we get close to the winter meetings. There's two sides, which is there's the side of everybody complaining and saying baseball needs a salary cap, and I've always been one of those people because I've always liked broke teams. I'm now a Dodger fan via marriage, but I've always liked broke teams up until this point. And so there's a part of me that goes, well, that's not fair. You basically turn the other teams, if you're not one of the 4 or 5 big market teams willing to spend this X amount of money, then you've essentially turned the other 25, 26 teams into fake mini AAA teams for the big guys. Like if you're the Pittsburgh Pirates and O'Neal Cruz and Paul Skeens, and you're starting to get a little bit of, some blue chip guys who are really making an impact, but you can't pay them the $500, $600 million, whatever the contracts end up becoming, well then you're just basically saying we got this guy for 4 years and then we got to trade him to the Dodgers. We got to trade him to the Yankees. We got to trade him to the Mets, whoever's going to be the big market spender at that time or that year. And then there's the other side of me that goes, yeah, but they're not even like, there's other teams. The Dodgers are overpaying for some of these guys. And they're willing to overpay because there is no salary cap. But like Blake Snell, I was talking to Tony, Blake Snell, there was other teams that could have offered him that same contract. They were just nervous for whatever the reason was because they didn't either want to financially invest in that, or they worried about injury concerns, or they worried about age. There's these other factors. The Dodgers just said, look, we want to win, and we want to win as much as possible with this team right now. And they had such a huge ROI on the Shohei contract that, yeah, you're paying Shohei all this money, but you're also receiving all this money. And because of how deferred money works, you're basically getting that paid all up front, and then you'll pay back later, which means if you want to get really business, math nerdy about it, it's money you can invest, money you can put other places that it can grow before you've actually got to commit to paying Shohei. Cool. So I'm kind of torn. I'm like, I do think there's other teams that could do this, and should the Dodgers necessarily be villainized for being willing to pay these players? I don't think so. And I think people that really want to take out deferred money, I think that's really stupid. Because the deferred money is actually better for even some of these smaller market teams where, yeah, now if I can get you on, let's say a hypothetical, right? Let's say you're a small market team, you pay a guy 5 years, $150, and that's basically the max. That's what you max out at. Okay, you can pay this guy $30 million a year, 5 years, cool. You defer pay half of that. Let's just keep it simple. So you're paying him $75 million over 5 years, and then you spread that other $75 million over 10, 15 years, whatever, on the back end. And again, deferred contracts have existed forever. That's Bobby Bonilla, and it's gotten more popular. You then have a chance as a less than franchise to make as much money as you can off this individual player through jersey sales, marketing, et cetera, to where now you're getting that money straight up. You can pay him back later, but that's more money you can invest, make more money for yourself, make more money for the franchise. Again, some of these owners are just cheap, and some of them I do think should just be, if you're going to be in baseball, just weed them out. If you're going to be a multi-billionaire and you want to own a baseball team, be willing to pay. Be willing to pay. I think that's 1,000% valid. I do think, however, and this is going to suck, because if you want to salary cap the teams, you are going to have to salary cap the players. And that's the part I think is going to be tough, and which is why I don't think we get this. I think we're going to start getting conversations, but I don't think we're going to get this until we're probably a decade out at least. I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be wrong. Because the problem is, Shohei just makes too much money to go in any other sport. Deferred money or not. Like, he just makes, well, what the deferred money is. But, like, you just can't pay a guy in the NFL that amount of money because he would just eat too much of your salary cap. So, what do? Do you make a salary cap retroactively, knowing Shohei's contract exists, knowing that what Juan Soto's going to sign for this year exists? And then what's your salary cap? It's going to be negligible, because even if you say your salary cap is going to be, what, 300 million, like, to incorporate some of these things, like the Dodgers just signed Edman too, like, but like your salary cap's gonna be huge. It's not gonna matter if you're the Pirates or the Tampa Bay Rays and you can't afford to get up there anyway. I do think we need a floor, and this is where you start to weed out some of the guys. And again, I'm gonna go into this a little more detail over the week. This is not really an end of show kind of thing. You need a floor. This is how you weed out the really cheap ass owners. You need a floor of what they have to pay. Stop letting the Pirates totally bottom out. Stop letting the Rays totally bottom out. Stop letting these teams totally bottom out and essentially just make money off the team and give as little back as possible. But you've also got to, again, how you make the actual cap is going to be weird, because you're going to have to cap the players and you're going to have to retroactively do it. And so that's why I don't think we get it for 10 years. I think we're going to get a proposal next year at the meetings. You're going to get a work stoppage. And then I think we're going to get a timeline of, okay, because these contracts are so many years, like Shohei's is 10 or 12 years, you're going to have to make it out for, like, okay, at the start of 2040, guys can't be given these contracts anymore, or or if no more contracts can exist, you can stop offering these contracts as of 5-6 years out, et cetera, et cetera. And so, but again, you get a floor to weed out the really cheap owners, and then I don't even know where you start with the cap, because some of these teams just can't afford this many guys. And it just is what it is. We're going to take another quick break here. When we come back, some last minute thoughts on Randy Moss. This is HardFoul Radio. We'll be back momentarily. And we are back to close it out. This is HardFoul Radio. Appreciate you guys for sticking with me. So, and I'm just going to end on a really easy which was more a lighthearted note, which is a real easy thing. I just want to send. So Randy Moss, who is one of the true icons in sports. Like, there's only a handful of guys who have true iconic status, true legendary status, like guys who are remembered by one name, or remembered by a moment, or just another level. And Moss is obviously one of that. He's one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play the game, one of the greatest football players to ever play the game. The Chris Carter quote he used all the time, 99% of guys are system guys. Randy Moss is in the 1%. Randy Moss, any era, any team, just get him the ball. But he started off NFL Countdown this morning, and he already made the announcement, so I just want to send out some prayers. He is dealing with a family issue and dealing with something inside. So he's wearing the sunglasses today, and so as someone who grew up when I did, and Randy Moss is a legend of a football player, an iconic athlete, all the great things that he did, I just want to spend 30 seconds here, saying thank you for all the time that you gave us on TV, on the football field, for all those great memories. And I just want to say prayers to you and your family for what you guys are going through. Obviously, it hasn't been publicly disclosed, nor does it have to be. It's an internal thing. Just want to say prayers up to Randy Moss. And with that being said, appreciate everybody for tuning in